Okay, let's begin this by saying out-of-control gambling can be dangerous. I think we all know that by now, though. But let's put ourselves in a hypothetical situation. Let's say we have the two starting fives of two teams in today's game, and you have to bet your life on one winner. One of them has Stephen Curry, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, and Bam Adebayo. The other has Luka Doncic, Lauri Markannen, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Victor Wembanyama, and Nikola Jokic. Now, which one do you take? It's probably closer than most people think. It's well known that international basketball's stepping up. They're really producing elite prospects at the same pace as American basketball, at least talent-wise. It's obvious that the average talent that the US is capable of producing year to year is still second to none. Their depth in every draft is unquestionable, and in sheer quantity of talent, they're still the kings of the world. But international prospects, or more specifically from Europe, are conquering the top positions in every NBA draft. Now then, is it realistic at some point that Team USA could be surpassed by any of these countries? Let's talk about that. I think by now mostly everybody's heard about what happened in the 2024 NBA draft. France not only got two prospects in the first two positions of the draft, but they also managed to get a third player in the top 10. Needless to say, this has never happened before. Never in the entire history of the draft has a country other than the United States ever been able to pull off something like that. But within all of international basketball, there is one continent that stood out above the rest in recent years. Let's not act like European basketball wasn't a thing before the 2010s. Most of the world's basketball powers that have achieved success in international competitions, apart from the United States, have always been nations from the old continent. In fact, with the exception of Argentina and Brazil, which have a great tradition of developed players who have led the national team in international competitions, only European countries have really challenged Team USA. But why has this happened throughout history? Well, the answer's simpler than it seems. European domestic leagues have a higher level than those of the rest of the countries in the other continents of the world beyond the United States and the NBA. According to a 2017 article by Fran Fraschilla for ESPN, the ranking of basketball leagues from the point of view of talent and competitiveness looked like this. After the NBA, Spain's ACB league was the best rated by the article. A country that not only had a great basketball quarry historically, forming talent such as the Gasol brothers, Serge Ibaka, Ricky Rubio, Jose Manuel Calderon, Nikola Mirotic, or even Luka Doncic when he played for Real Madrid, but has also welcomed a large number of American talents who couldn't find a roster spot in the US. Then comes the BSL, an acronym for Turkish Basketball Super League. A league that's always had a good economic capacity and has placed teams such as Fenerbahce, Anadolu Efes, or Besiktas in the European elite. It's also a country that's developed the career of many players who ended up succeeding in the NBA, such as Mehmet Okur or Hedo Turkoglu in the past, or alperen şengün today. Right after that comes the Russian League, VTB United League, with teams like CSKA Moscow or Zenit Petersburg. Then comes the BBL, the Basketball Bundesliga League of Germany, another league with teams like Bayern Munich that's also gained prominence lately, even more with the victory of its national team in the last World Cup of 2023. In 6th position of this ranking, we have the Lega Basketball Serie A of Italy. In 7th position, the LNB Pro A of France. In 8th position, the Greek A1 League. And then we find the NBL, the Professional Basketball League of Australia, the first non-US and non-European league to appear in this ranking of competitions. There are several things to comment on this. The first is that we left out international competitions in which clubs from different countries participate, such as the EuroLeague, the Champions League, or the Adriatic League. These competitions are made up of elite teams from each country and are without a doubt the best club tournaments outside the NBA. But also, we have to remember that this ranking is from 2017, 7 years ago, and the world of basketball is advancing faster and faster. I mean, many of these leagues have already changed their name. For example, as of today, we know that the LNB Pro A, the French League, or the NBL, the Australian League, have risen a lot in this ranking of competitions. But even so, this outdated ranking allows us to realize the reason why European basketball has exploded in recent years. The biggest reason for this phenomenon is without a doubt the huge fan base and infrastructure that exists in these countries to develop talent thanks to their domestic leagues. Just look at the NBA today. Who would be your top 5 players today? Yeah, we know it's not a question with a simple answer, and there will always be people who disagree with a ranking at the end of the day that's completely subjective. But we all agree that Nikola Jokic is a member of that top 5, right? Surely we also agree that two-time NBA MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo should be in there too. And after this incredible playoff run, we also have to agree that Luka Doncic is one of the 5 best players in the league today. It's crazy though. 3 of the top 5 players in the NBA are European. And the most incredible thing is that you can easily finish this top 5 with Joel Embiid and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and no NBA elite player would be American-born. This is exactly what's caused the approach to perfection of the basketball federations of all the countries of the world. And we're going to see the effects of this process as soon as the next Olympic Games that'll be played in a few weeks. There are 8 teams that bookmakers consider as favorites to win the tournament. 6 of them are European. In addition to Canada and the United States, the national teams of Serbia, France, Germany, Spain, and Greece are considered contenders to fight for the medals. Something that's not very different with respect to the rest of the FIBA tournament editions. It's no longer that the rules of the game favor those players who've developed in Europe, adapting to the style of play that they've learned since childhood. In addition, today, these teams have a lot of NBA star power. Jokic, Giannis, Wemby, Luka. And we can't forget Dennis Schroeder, who in FIBA becomes a basketball demigod for Germany every damn time. These teams not only have some NBA players who have a special chemistry with some of the elite of overseas basketball. In addition, some of the best players in the league are part of these rosters. Think of it like this. If all the players from Europe were a part of a single nation, this team could compete head-to-head with the best players in the United States. That's the reality. And the process seems irreversible, taking into account the origin of many of the prospects that end up in the top positions of the draft. We're not talking about a utopia for these countries, nor an unattainable dream. With the necessary economic and temporal investment, these countries are reaching a level of sports development that's unprecedented. On top of that, basketball is an unpredictable sport. No one ever thinks that the United States doesn't have the best roster in every tournament, yet Team USA's only managed to win 2 World Cups in the last 7 that have been played. All of them, by the way, have been won by European countries. Germany in 2023, Spain in 2019 and 2006, and the former Yugoslavia in 2002 and 1998. And that's not the worst thing. In addition to Team USA going through a time of transition and star hunting, there are other countries outside Europe that are in the midst of an explosion era. Canada, Australia, Philippines, Bahamas, Puerto Rico, New Zealand, Dominican Republic. There are more and more threats to what has been the cultural basketball reference around the world. There's something that no matter how much time passes, it will never change. The enormous love that exists in Europe for basketball is something that's intrinsic to the culture. Something that's historically been attributed to the Eastern European countries, whose fans have starred in some of the most spectacular moments we've ever seen on a basketball court. Turkey, Greece, Serbia. If there's one thing these countries are known for, it's their way of taking basketball as a religion. They have tough leagues with hostile environments that make anyone's hair stand on end. But if you go to the West, you find even more powers. France, Spain, Italy, Germany. Watch out for the UK in the future. These countries have spent decades betting on sports development in different ways and creating a platform that allows their athletes to succeed. And if time is showing us anything, it's that this investment has not been in vain.